happy Easter, everybody. We have made it. We are on week 8, right? And again, with the identity we're exploring today and diving into, it's not going to be one of those, again, that's from the natural kind of like progression, right? With Mystic and the new man, right? When we say the new man, we mean just men and women who have experienced the risen life of Jesus, right? Men and women who have encountered Jesus in this radically new way, and new life is possible now, right? And so this relationship with Jesus, it's not like we will all, there will be a time when we will die and we will rise from the dead, right? But the most incredible thing about our faith and our relationship with Jesus is that life is accessible to us right now. Like Jesus risen from the dead is accessible to us right now. And so sometimes I think, again, it's underrated, or we don't take advantage of the incredible grace and gift of what it means to live as new men and women in Christ and what that means. So we're going to talk about what that means. But again, this identity pilgrimage does not make sense without the resurrection. It doesn't make sense if Jesus didn't rise from the dead. Right? If Jesus didn't take on our humanity, if he didn't, again, he was fully God and fully man, and our humanity is transfigured, it's transformed in Christ. But if that doesn't happen and the resurrection is not real, then we don't understand what our lives mean. And our life is incomprehensible. It's just suffering and brokenness then. But again, Jesus comes and becomes a little baby and lives his life. And the climax is the passion, death, and resurrection. And he is risen from the dead. The tomb is empty. We know that. And just the wonderful gift this week of the Easter octave, experiencing with the church, if you go to daily mass or if you have the Magnificat and you follow the daily readings, it's just wonderful stories about how the early disciples and apostles experienced this new life. Like Jesus didn't rise from the dead and just like float into the sky. No, he came back because he wants to show us his risen life. He wants to bring us close. In the book, I use Doubting Thomas and the road to Emmaus, right? It's just so wonderful. Jesus is risen from the dead and life is still messy. Thomas has, the audacity to be like, yeah, I don't believe it. Like, tell him to come. Mm-hmm. And Jesus actually does. Jesus listens and humbles himself and says, okay, I'll come back. I'll come back the next week. Right? And Jesus comes to this intimate place with Thomas and says, Thomas, touch my wounds. Like, I'm alive. I'm risen from the dead. And what this must have meant for Thomas. Or you have the road to Emmaus, right? Again, they're walking from the village. All this had happened in Jerusalem, and they find themselves on the outside on the road, and they find themselves downcast and depressed. And they even say, yeah, some of our people said that there was an empty tomb, and they still don't know what to make of it. Right? But Jesus comes to them. Jesus comes in his risen life that is revealed to them in the breaking of the bread of that story, and he changes everything. Right? And brothers, this is what we have to receive this Easter, is what does the resurrection mean for me? What's the resurrection of Jesus mean for my life personally right now? Because for those early apostles, it was absolutely personal. Jesus didn't rise from the dead in some abstract way, but he meets us. It's funny to say, but he meets us in our death. He meets us in our darkness. He meets us in our sin, our doubt, our fear, our brokenness. He meets us there. And he shows us personally what his resurrection means for us. And brothers, this is what it means to go into Lent. This is what it means to go into the desert. This transformation that happens in my heart when I experience the new life of Jesus in me. We're talking about this transformation, and it's kind of the play on the word of like from death, the rising of from death to life, from this old man to the new man, right? This man of fear and cowardness to what happens when we can open up our hearts to Christ and the new life that happens in us.